The controversy keeps on going for Swalwell and may just be beginning for Gonzales, although they've been dealing with these allegations for a while. Last night, the reporting of two resignations from Congress, one Eric Swalwell on the Democratic side, the other Tony Gonzales on the Republican side, have sent shockwaves through all of Congress, which is triggering immediate political institutional consequences. Although, since it's a Republican and a Democrat, it's technically balanced. Both lawmakers stepping down in closed session has intensified scrutiny on leadership accountability and literally the internal politics and the dynamics of the Congress. While details and the allegations are varying, the timing has amplified the perfection and how things are doing for the instability that is working for legislation. Essentially, the fact that the branch can't get anything done, and this makes it worse as they are falling, that being members to scandal, which is actually something that's been a long time coming, but the timing is just sort of why now. Particularly both figures who are holding some visible roles in their respective caucuses. Let's start with Swalwell for a moment. Swalwell, who of course is a former candidate for president from one time and was running for California governor. Sorry about that. As maybe a stepping stone to get to president again, had issues that are of the nature that we have issues saying without being, banned on YouTube. So we'll say his SA issues have come to light after a while. You may have known him and liked him more like a golden boy and may have gotten into the back and forth that Republicans had on him maybe being, influenced by a Chinese spy in the SA ways. But right now, with the allegations for women coming out to say that he's been in their way for a while, having him drop out of the race for governor and then surprisingly drop out of Congress without having to deal with any sort of issues. Same thing applies for Gonzales, who admitted to having an affair with a married staffer in the past. That staffer at some point committed suicide because she could not deal with the stress, and her husband has been a staunch non-supporter of Gonzales going forward in what is his reign. Now, early reporting indicates that the resignations are tied to these allegations and raising all the ethical and political concerns that you expect, enough to convince that their service was essentially unattainable. Essentially, they were going to get bounced from Congress because Congress is going to go ahead and get rid of them and not just let these slide. Last time they got rid of someone officially was, of course, that Santos guy. This case, Swalwell and Gonzales saved themselves some embarrassment and maybe some face. In the cases like these, members of Congress are often face pressures by party leaders and ethics committees to push this in public opinion simultaneously. They have been dealing with the Gonzales issue for a while. Swalwell is a newer, very quicker one, as Swalwell was actually ahead of the race to win the governorship in California. And now that all came crashing down very, very quickly over the weekend. Reactions from colleagues have been cautious but firm. Calls for transparency and due process, calls for investigations, and some lawmakers emphasize that the importance of maintaining the institutional trust, while others are pointing out the need for swift accountability to preserve public confidence. The departures could have immediate electoral and legislative consequences. Maybe. Special elections have to be required to fill those seats, so who will take the seats for California and for Texas, potentially shifting the balance of power depending on how the districts are involved. Chances are a Democrat will place Swalwell and a Republican will place Gonzales, so there won't be much change in the numbers yet, but for a while there'll be a small vacuum and we'll have to actually see who wins out or who is appointed in those places. Party leadership must also manage messaging for this, as opponents will use the resignations to question broader party integrity. But since both parties are having resignations over the same general issue, it all should come out in a wash. It should. Strategists note that coming to this is a critical timing area where, especially in developments near the election cycle, we are going to vote for folks in midterms in months, where voters' perceptions can be influenced by narratives and ethics accountability. The stories are told that may actually be more of a weigh-in on the voters and not what the actual people in Congress are doing, like being out of session for forever and having a government shutdown that's still going on. These resignations are tied to allegations and not uncommon in Congress, but in each case, this contributes to broader patterns and shapes of public trust in government. Past incidents involve lawmakers stepping down under pressure, have led to calls for stronger ethics rules and oversight mechanisms. Experts in political science note that while such resignations demonstrate accountability and action, They also reinforce voter skepticism about elected officials. Also, no word about Trump stepping down after his allegations, but he is Jesus, I guess. The current situation adds another chapter to that ongoing tension between government and public perception in these people. What's going to happen in the short term? Well, congressional leaders will likely focus on establishing operations and addressing any procedural gaps caused by these two not being in their seats for a while. Ethics investigations, of course, are going to come in as well. They can still investigate them even though they're no longer a part of the body, and they'll continue even after the departure. And depending on the nature of the allegations, they're going to continue even after they're part of the body. Meanwhile, attention will turn to potential candidates for replacement for the quick terms and for the long term, as basically everyone's up for grabs with their seats going forward. Although Swalwell was pretty much sure he was going to be the governor, so he wasn't so much worried about his House seat. Gonzales, not so much. Broader national political trends are going to be a big deal as people observe what they want to. They're going to watch whether this moment actually prompts some renewed efforts to reform the bad behavior in Congress, or whether they'll just be more of a boys club, and this is definitely boys club issues right now. So the resignations can be seen as a sign of accountability, and that the mechanisms are functioning well for people who will, be up on what's going on. Where the point that Swalwell and Gonzales both decided to leave, and that of course Swalwell left the race for California, is a chance that there are some morals involved, even if it took a while and a lot of denials of what was going on. So maybe ethical standards may be held up by some people, and if not, they push to get them out would have kept them going. They may also open opportunities for new leadership and fresh perspectives within Congress, as these guys held some pretty serious spots, and now someone has to shift in to make those spots work out going forward. In the meantime, it may also contribute to the public distrust in government. More reasons why we shouldn't believe these guys, and disrupt legislative continuity because they're not there to take their seats and make their votes. They may also deepen some partisan divisions, which is ironic because on the same day, on the day that Congress comes back in session and the House comes back to work to maybe break that old government shutdown thing, or try to stop Donald Trump from going to war, two guys from opposite sides of the field essentially should null each other out. They should. We shall see. Each side uses the situation for advanced political narratives, but when both sides can say nanny nanny boo boo to both, it makes it a little bit harder, or sometimes easier, to say that both sides are bad and we should throw them all out. Third parties get a shot at here? I don't know. Oh, by the way, Donald Trump is also convicted of some of these things already. He's not going nowhere. But these two guys are. So give me your accounts, give me your comments, give me your thoughts. Gonzales and Swalwell are out. What's next for them? What's next for us? Are we all just screwed?